If you've ever wondered where your money disappears every month, you're definitely not alone. Many people earn a steady income, pay their bills, enjoy small purchases, and then suddenly find themselves wondering why their bank account feels empty before the month even ends. The surprising truth is that money problems rarely come from not earning enough. More often, they come from not having a clear financial plan. Without structure, money flows in and out without intention, leaving people feeling stressed, confused, and stuck in a cycle of paycheck to paycheck living. That's where one of the simplest and most powerful budgeting strategies comes in, the 50/30/20 rule. This rule has helped millions of people organize their finances without complicated spreadsheets, restrictive budgets, or overwhelming financial jargon. Instead of tracking every penny, it focuses on balance, awareness, and intentional spending. The idea behind the 50/30/20 rule is incredibly simple. You divide your after-tax income into 3 categories. 50% goes toward needs, 30% goes toward wants, and 20% goes toward savings and debt repayment. Let's begin with the first category, needs. Needs are expenses that are essential for survival and daily functioning. These include housing, groceries, utilities, transportation, insurance, healthcare, and minimum debt payments. In other words, if you stopped paying these expenses, your life would be immediately affected. For example, imagine you take home $3,000 per month after taxes. According to the rule, about $1,500 should cover your needs. This might include rent, groceries, transportation cost, utilities, and basic insurance. Now let's explore the second category, wants. Wants are expenses that enhance your lifestyle, but aren't necessary for survival. This includes dining out, shopping, entertainment, streaming subscriptions, travel, hobbies, and upgraded lifestyle choices. If you remove these expenses, life would still continue, but it would feel less comfortable and enjoyable. Using the same income example, 30% equals $900 for wants. This category allows you to enjoy life without guilt because spending is intentional and planned. Finally, we have the most powerful category, savings and debt repayment. This category represents your future. It includes emergency funds, investing, retirement savings, and extra payments toward debt. With a $3,000 income, 20% equals $600 dedicated to long-term financial security. Now, you might be thinking, what if my needs already exceed 50%? This is extremely common, especially in cities with high living costs. The 50/30/20 rule isn't meant to be rigid or perfection-based. Instead, it serves as a guideline that helps you identify imbalances and make gradual improvements. Let's walk through a realistic example. Meet Sarah, a 28-year-old marketing professional earning $3,000 per month after taxes. Initially, her needs consumed 65% of her income because rent was expensive. Instead of feeling discouraged, Sarah made small adjustments. She reduced grocery spending, negotiated insurance costs, and canceled unused subscriptions. Over time, she moved closer to the ideal ratio. Another example is James, a freelancer with inconsistent income. Instead of applying the rule monthly, he averaged his income over 3 months. This gave him a realistic baseline while maintaining flexibility. For couples, the rule becomes even more powerful. When partners combine income and categorize expenses together, they gain clarity and reduce financial conflict. Transparency builds trust, and trust supports consistency. Students and young professionals can also benefit greatly from this rule. Even with limited income, dividing money into needs, wants, and savings builds lifelong habits. Saving small amounts consistently is more impactful than saving large amounts occasionally. One of the biggest mistakes people make when budgeting is trying to change everything overnight. They cut all discretionary spending, feel deprived, and eventually abandon their budget. The 50/30/20 rule prevents this by encouraging balance rather than restriction. The first practical step to applying this rule is understanding your real spending. Most people estimate expenses instead of tracking them. Reviewing bank statements and categorizing expenses provides instant clarity and reveals spending patterns that might otherwise go unnoticed. You might discover forgotten subscriptions, frequent food delivery orders, or impulse purchases that accumulate faster than expected. Awareness is powerful because improvement begins with measurement. Next comes gradual adjustment. If your needs exceed 50%, focus on small changes that create long-term impact. Consider negotiating bills, exploring cheaper insurance, cooking more meals at home, or using public transportation occasionally. Now let's talk about savings in more depth. Your first savings priority should be an emergency fund. Life is unpredictable, and unexpected expenses can arise at any time. Having 3 to 6 months of essential expenses saved provides financial security and reduces reliance on debt. After establishing an emergency fund, investing becomes the next focus. Investing allows money to grow through compounding, transforming small, consistent contributions into significant long-term wealth. Debt repayment is another critical component. High-interest debt, especially credit cards, can slow financial progress. Paying extra toward debt reduces interest and accelerates financial freedom. A helpful strategy is separating accounts for each category. When needs, wants, and savings exist in different accounts, spending decisions become clearer and intentional. Automation is another powerful tool. Setting automatic transfers towards savings ensures financial priorities are protected before discretionary spending occurs. This approach transforms discipline into habit. Mindful spending is also key. The rule doesn't restrict enjoyment. It creates boundaries that allow guilt-free spending. When needs and savings are covered, spending on wants becomes intentional rather than impulsive. Budgeting also improves emotional well-being. Financial clarity reduces stress, enhances confidence, and creates a sense of control. Money stops feeling chaotic and starts feeling manageable. Consistency matters more than perfection. Some months will deviate from the ideal ratio due to unexpected expenses. That's completely normal. Budgeting is a dynamic process that requires adjustment rather than strict adherence. As income grows, the rule becomes even more valuable. Many people experience lifestyle inflation, increasing spending as income rises. The 50/30/20 rule prevents this by automatically directing a portion of income growth towards savings and investing. Students and young professionals benefit immensely from adopting this rule early. Financial habits formed in early adulthood create decades of compounding advantages. Another advanced strategy is reverse budgeting, saving first and spending what remains. This aligns perfectly with the 50/30/20 rule and ensures future priorities are consistently funded. Money stress can impact relationships, productivity, and mental health. A clear budgeting framework reduces uncertainty and fosters confidence. If budgeting feels overwhelming, start with simple steps. Track expenses, categorize spending, make small adjustments, and automate savings. Over time, budgeting becomes effortless. Ultimately, the 50/30/20 rule balances present enjoyment with future security. It acknowledges that life should be enjoyed today while preparing for tomorrow. And perhaps the most important takeaway is flexibility. Percentages can shift based on location, income level, or life stage. What matters is awareness and intentional allocation. Financial freedom is rarely the result of one large decision. Instead, it emerges from consistent small actions repeated over time. And the 50/30/20 rule offers one of the simplest frameworks to begin that journey. As you continue applying the 50/30/20 rule, something interesting begins to happen. Money stops feeling unpredictable and starts feeling organized. Instead of reacting to expenses, you begin making intentional decisions about where your income goes. This shift creates a sense of control that many people have never experienced before. Bills no longer feel overwhelming because your needs category is planned. Spending on enjoyment feels guilt-free because it fits within your wants category. And saving becomes automatic rather than something you attempt at the end of the month. Another powerful benefit of this rule is awareness. When you clearly categorize spending, you start recognizing patterns that may have gone unnoticed. Small daily purchases, impulse shopping, or forgotten subscriptions often add up faster than expected. Awareness allows you to adjust without feeling restricted. Let's talk about long-term impact. Imagine following this rule consistently for 1 year. You would likely build an emergency fund, reduce debt, and develop healthier spending habits. Now imagine applying the same system for 5 or 10 years. The compounding effect of consistent saving and investing can dramatically change your financial future. It's also important to remember that the 50/30/20 rule is flexible. Life circumstances change, income fluctuates, and unexpected expenses occur. The goal isn't perfect percentages every month, but maintaining balance over time. Even small improvements toward the ideal ratio represent meaningful progress. Monthly budget reviews can strengthen this process. Taking a few minutes at the end of each month to reflect on spending helps you identify wins, adjust categories, and stay aligned with financial goals. Budgeting becomes an evolving habit rather than a one-time task. Another key idea is value-based spending. The wants category isn't about cutting enjoyment, but prioritizing experiences and purchases that truly matter. When spending aligns with personal values, money feels purposeful rather than impulsive. Ultimately, the 50/30/20 rule is about balance. It allows you to enjoy your present life while building a secure future. It simplifies budgeting into 3 clear categories that reduce stress and increase clarity. So if you've ever felt like your money disappears faster than expected, this rule offers a simple solution. Start by tracking your income, categorizing expenses, and making gradual adjustments. Automate savings whenever possible and remain consistent with your plan. Because financial freedom isn't built overnight. It grows through small, intentional actions practiced daily. And by applying the 50-30-20 rule, you're taking one of the most important steps toward building a financial life that feels stable, flexible, and empowering. As you continue exploring the 50-30-20 rule, it's important to understand that budgeting is not about restriction, it's about intention. Many people associate budgeting with sacrifice, but in reality, budgeting is simply a tool that helps you decide where your money goes before it disappears. One of the biggest advantages of this rule is clarity. When your income is divided into needs, wants, and savings, financial decisions become easier. Instead of constantly questioning whether you can afford something, you already know which category it belongs to and whether it fits your plan. Let's talk about how this rule changes daily spending behavior. Imagine going out for dinner with friends. Without a budget, you might feel uncertain or guilty about spending. But when you know your wants category has room, that dinner becomes a planned experience rather than an impulsive expense. This shift transforms spending from emotional to intentional. Another powerful benefit is stress reduction. Financial stress often comes from uncertainty, not necessarily low income. When you understand your numbers and have a plan for each dollar, anxiety naturally decreases. Money stops feeling chaotic and starts feeling manageable. Consistency is where real transformation happens. Following the 50-30-20 rule for 1 month creates awareness. Following it for 6 months builds habit. Following it for years creates financial stability and long-term wealth. The rule itself is simple, but its impact compounds over time. Let's also discuss lifestyle inflation. As income increases, spending often increases as well. Without a structure, raises and bonuses can disappear just as quickly as regular income. The 50-30-20 rule protects against this by automatically directing a portion of income growth towards savings and investing. This ensures financial progress continues even as lifestyle improves. Another practical tip is using automation. Setting up automatic transfers to savings accounts removes the temptation to spend first and save later. Automation turns discipline into a background process, making financial growth almost effortless. It's also helpful to create visual goals, whether it's an emergency fund target, a debt payoff milestone, or an investment goal. Visualizing progress increases motivation. Seeing your savings grow reinforces positive financial behavior and encourages consistency. Now let's talk about flexibility. Life is unpredictable, and your budget should adapt to changes. Unexpected expenses, career transitions, or major life events may temporarily shift your percentages. That doesn't mean the rule has failed. Instead, it means your financial plan is evolving with your circumstances. Another key concept is intentional enjoyment. The wants category exists for a reason. Life should include experiences, hobbies, and small pleasures. The rule encourages guilt-free spending within boundaries, allowing you to enjoy today while protecting tomorrow. For many people, the most challenging category is savings. Saving can feel difficult, especially when income is limited or expenses are high. But even small contributions create momentum. Saving 5 or 10% initially is far more powerful than waiting for the perfect moment. To save 20% over time, income growth and expense optimization make it easier to reach the ideal ratio. The journey toward financial balance is gradual, and each improvement builds confidence. Reviewing your budget regularly is another important habit. Monthly check-ins help you evaluate spending patterns, identify opportunities for improvement, and celebrate progress. Budgeting is not a one-time task, but an ongoing process of awareness and adjustment. Perhaps the most important takeaway is that the 50-30-20 rule creates freedom, not limitation. It gives you permission to spend, save, and live without constant financial worry. Instead of feeling controlled by money, you begin directing it toward goals that matter. Ultimately, financial success is not determined by income alone. It's determined by structure, consistency, and intention. Many high earners struggle financially due to lack of planning, while moderate earners achieve stability through disciplined budgeting. So if you're starting this journey, remember that progress is more important than perfection. Begin with awareness. Track your spending. Apply the percentages gradually. Automate savings where possible. And stay consistent even when results feel slow. Because real financial transformation doesn't happen overnight. It happens quietly, month after month, through small intentional decisions. And by following the 50-30-20 rule, you're not just managing money. You're creating clarity, reducing stress, and building a financial life that feels stable, balanced, and secure.